Well, good morning and happy Friday to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve and Gabriella Collins coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Hope you guys are ready for this wonderful Friday. I love to have hard conversations because hard conversations many times are the difference makers between you stepping into taking action in your life versus you just having a wonderful conversation in your head. If people in this world were rewarded for their intentions, everybody would be a multimillionaire in great health, with a great body, great relationships, great family, and a great future. If people were rewarded for their intentions. People are not rewarded for their intentions, ladies and gentlemen. They're rewarded for their actions and activities, and that's why I exist on this earth, to stir you up first thing in the morning with sometimes an encouraging word and many times a provoking word. A word that will provoke you on to love and good works and changes for yourself. So parents, I want you to think about something with me today that I was reflecting on this morning. Today marks the 19th birthday for the oldest daughter that Angela and I have in our household right now. Christy's 29, Victoria's 19. And I am witnessing her manifesting 19 years of intentional conversation. What do I mean by that? I learned a long time ago that the way you speak to your children now, when they are young, will become their inner voice as an adult. Let that sink in. The way you're speaking to your children now, when they're young, will become their inner voice when they are adult. You see, in my coaching program, Voice of One, it is not a coaching program of actions and activities only. That's 10%. 10% skill set. It's 90% mindset. And the majority of the work that I do with my clients before we make any progress, it's like when you buy an investment property in San Antonio in Alamo Heights, some of the most expensive dirt in San Antonio with really old houses. At some point, it makes no sense to renovate those homes. At some point, you just have to go in and tear it down to the ground, rip it all up, and start fresh. Well, going in and tearing down those old patterns of thought, those old tapes that play in the head of the adults I'm connected to, the programs that they were raised listening to that they may have never questioned, that is my life's work in the very beginning and sometimes several months leading up to the ability to build from that point forward, because everybody has a programming that was placed in them, in their minds, normally and primarily by their parents, first and foremost, and then of course depending on where they are in the age gap in their family, their sibling that's just above them in age, and then of course influences as they grow up around them, authority figures and friends and family members. Wherever there was influence that was allowed to penetrate the thought life of a child, those children come to conclusions, and that becomes their inner programming that very few ever question. Have you met people that say, well, I couldn't do that. Well, no, that's just not, no, that's not for me. No, I can't. No, I'm never good at that. I'm not good at that. I'm terrible in math. I'm terrible with names. Oh, my memory's just bad. Oh, I wish I could remember people's names. I don't know how to go anywhere. Have you heard this before? Would you like to know something? The things they are saying are not true. They may be facts, but they're not truth. The truth is different than the facts. So let me just remind you of this, parents, today. What you are speaking over your children now becomes their inner voice as adults. Please be very careful not to speak over your children your own self-imposed limitations and limiting beliefs. Experiment as I did. Victoria is a 19-year experiment. Bless her heart, she knows it. She knows she was a guinea pig. What were some things that I said since she was a child? I'll give you some ideas of what the things are that I said. When we were talking with her about work ethic, we wouldn't say, well, you know, you gotta go to school so that you can go to college. That way you can get a good job. You know, we never said that. We said things like, Victoria, it's very important for you to understand that you must continually grow and develop and learn and study, because one day when you're running several businesses, you're going to want to know how to relate to and connect with the people that God's entrusting to your care when it comes to serving those that will be working for you on your team. You see, you've really got to trust that God's going to give you the grace, and that if you do your part, He'll do His part. You see, but the problem is that, Tori, is that God won't do your part and you can't do His part. So you must study, you must learn, you must take in as much information as you possibly can right now, because one day when you have businesses that you are running, you're going to need this information. Now, I love my wife Angela, and she's so precious. Angela would look at me like, really? Steve, she's 3 years old. I'm like, yep, right on, giddy up, baby. And you know, it took Angela very little time to completely get on board with reprogramming and understanding that the things you speak to your children when they are young become their inner voice as an adult. And a huge part, again, of my life's work in coaching is tearing down those old strongholds of thought that keep people held back and limited in how they see themselves, and truly recognizing that, as Zig Ziglar says, you are designed for accomplishment. Designed for accomplishment. You are endowed with the seeds of greatness. There is greatness in every one of us. God does not make junk. And your own limitations for yourself can be easily spoken over your children, limiting their future and their lives by the words of your mouth. So I will encourage you, think about this and think very long and hard about when you're speaking with your children, recognizing what I'm saying over this precious child today will become her inner voice as an adult. What inner voice do you want your children saying? You know what? I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. This is awesome. You know what? This may be a terrible situation, but all things work together for my good. You know what? The benefits of me walking and talking with Him are phenomenal. You can't write a check for the things the good Lord can do for me. It is amazing. It's just awesome. I'm so fortunate. You know what? I'm absolutely, positively loved and adored by the Creator of the universe, not because of who I am, but simply because of who He is. And I just received that today. There's nothing that I cannot do. You know, and I'm going to just tell you what Victoria was saying when she was 3 years old. We went to a really big church for a season of time, and I trained her to say this. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask her if she'd be willing to say it today. When people at church would, in fact, the pastor used to bring her up on the stage to tell all the 3,000 plus members, he'd say, Victoria Collins. And she would say, yes, Pastor Rick. He would say, how you doing today, honey? And you know what she would say? She would say this: I am blessed and highly favored of the Lord, empowered to prosper, destined for success. I expect to win and to kick the devil's booty through obedience to the word of God, because I am blessed in the city and blessed in the field, blessed when I come, blessed when I go, above only and not beneath, the head and not the tail. That's how I'm doing, Pastor Rick. Now you got to imagine this entire church, every time he brought her up to do that, would erupt in laughter and clapping. This was what I had her declare every day. This is what I've asked my children to declare. I'm blessed and highly favored of the Lord, empowered to prosper, destined for success. I expect to win and to kick the devil's booty through obedience to the word of God, because I'm blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed when I come, blessed when I go, above only, not beneath, the head and not the tail. Now you tell your kid whatever you want to tell your kid. I'm just going to tell you right now that at 19 years old, I am witnessing my daughter as part of an integral part of one of the top real estate teams in the city of San Antonio. In a very short period of time, she has gotten very close to exceeding the skill set that it took me years to develop. 19 years in the business. And you know, I give God the glory for it, not me. Now I want you to understand this. I blame all my successes on God, and I blame all my failures on me. God gave me the grace and the wisdom to understand the power of the spoken word, and that life and death are in the power of the tongue. What you speak over your children when they're young will become their inner voice as an adult. Make sure what you're saying doesn't hold them back with your own self-imposed limitations, so that your ceiling can become their ground floor. Have a great day, guys.